power of big business and rich individuals has been growing steadily since the 1970s. Their financial muscle and political influence in every country in the world has made them rich. It's also made it harder for working people everywhere to make a decent living. In the industrialized nations, unions have been tied up with legal restrictions. Well-paid manufacturing jobs have been shipped to low-wage economies.
Why would they take cars out of the United States and send them to Mexico, China, or somewhere, when we can do it here?
It's not just about auto workers. It's about every job. And I get really emotional when I think about it because I got a daughter that's graduating this year that we're trying to get to college. And a few years ago, this wouldn't even have been an issue. And now we're really concerned about that.
In the emerging economies, trade unions are repressed and activists are victimized, harassed, and in the worst countries, like in Colombia, they're often murdered. The result of this globalization, as it's called, is lower wages, worse conditions, and insecurity for workers everywhere.
We had so many members laid off. We put together a local food bank just for our Dana employees that have been laid off. This is something that's very hard for a person to do, to ask, okay, I do need help.
The recent financial crisis has shown us just how vulnerable economies are to the excesses of big business. Governments have been unable or unwilling to do anything to restrict the power of this super-rich elite.
As we were always told by our forefathers, whilst capital is global and labour is local, then we'll always be at a disadvantage. And with the world getting even smaller now, with most of the companies, whether they're not just the big car companies of yesteryear, but even service-related and other companies today, they're the same companies the world over.
Now the USW and Unite the Union have come together to fight back on behalf of working people by forming the first truly global union, Workers Uniting.
The days when you could have a regional union take on a regional employer left a long time ago. The days where you could have a national union start to take on a national employer have been eroding real quick. In the last 20 years, more and more of the global economy has moved to have no borders, has moved to have no loyalty to any country. So if we don't create an institution that can respond to that, that has loyalty to workers and to the dreams and aspirations of workers, then we'll get run over. And I think that what Derek and Unite and the Steelworkers Union are doing is we're taking the steps to create the world's first global worker response that can be action-oriented.
Workers Uniting is bringing together trade union activists from both sides of the Atlantic. They share the same experience, and in some cases, the same employer.
Oh, it's an absolutely exciting opportunity for me. I mean, just being able to hook up with MiWesFECO people from around the world now is, and it was interesting to hear my committee talk. They said they hadn't talked to you for 5 minutes, and exactly the same things that we're hearing from you in Europe is what we hear on a local level here in the US. So,
Dennis and I met up in the bar on the first night, and that's where you do most of the networking anyway.
Right.
But we were bitching on for about an hour about all the problems that we're having at local, at a local site level, and we might as well have been in the same workplace.
Yeah. One of the sectors of our organizations that have a lot of common employers and a lot of common interest from a process standpoint is the paper industry. So, as a part of this organization that was formed called Workers Uniting the Global Union, we've been doing a lot of work to reinforce and build a labor movement, not just here in the UK, but kind of across the globe, and setting a model for international global trade unionism.
Over the past 2 years, officials of both the USW and Unite have worked very closely together in this area to not only develop a relationship at national level between the officials, but more importantly between our local representatives in the mills. The reason for that is that we're dealing with the same problems in the USA and Canada and in the UK. We've got companies facing the same difficulties, we've got members being laid off, we've got key issues such as health and safety that affect all of our members.
Workers Uniting is fighting to protect employment rights at home and abroad.
Well, the message is that we will never surrender. We are not going to accept the concessions in this prosperous time.
And who are the people with you today?
Well, Workers Unite is with us. We're handing out leaflets, information leaflets to everyone that's passing by, and anyone heading into the conference.
Well, there's a major dispute in Sudbury in Canada involving colleagues from the USW. Our union, Workers Uniting, Lincoln Unite with the USW, is supporting. Two of the guys are across.
Workers Uniting is campaigning politically on healthcare in the US and in the UK.
Change is a healthcare plan that guarantees insurance to every American who wants it, brings down premiums for every family who needs it, cuts costs for business and their workers by picking up the tab for some of the most expensive illnesses and conditions, and that stops insurance companies from discriminating and denying coverage to those who need it most.
It is hugely important that we start to make links and develop links. Why? American-based global enterprises are encroaching in our NHS.
Having the help of Workers Uniting and Unite the Union in Great Britain, to have us have that opportunity to bring real life stories about the national healthcare system in Great Britain, as opposed to the broken, failed system in America, has been very beneficial. Having the system from Canada, where our Canadian members have been able to join with our members from Workers Uniting in Great Britain at Unite the Union, and share that those two countries, Ireland, that country, and to say that, you know, it's America that's the oddball in this circumstance when it comes to healthcare. It's the only major industrial democracy that has a profit motive for healthcare.
Workers Uniting is fighting for jobs in traditional industries.
We've always been struggling about the issues of trade. Here we're able to talk about that in spite of what we may think of our own national interests, the forces of capital are hurting us both in both our nations, and they are the same people, and they are moving off and exploiting workers in nations where there really is no presence of a union, and right now no ability to organize them. And it's hurting workers in Britain and Ireland and the United States together and equally, and that is pulling us together.
Workers Uniting wants to change the world.
Put people first! Put people first! Put people first!
Companies that are global companies take decisions not based on negotiations nationally. They are in fact taking decisions on a worldwide base. And while we are separate unions in separate countries, it always breaks down at the end into a nationalistic interest. Whereas a single union, where wherever a person worked anywhere in the world could be a member of the same union, would present the employer on a level basis with a negotiation covering all the workers' interests wherever those companies have establishments.
We do need a global union, able to fight back, negotiate collectively on making sure that we not only have wages and terms and conditions that are fair for the labour that we sell, but also to fight back if they're trying to close people down or lose people jobs purely and simply to send it somewhere else in the world for profit.
I think that the future of Workers Uniting is very bright, that we agreed that we would start slow and we'd start with a focused agenda, and we'd start demonstrating that we can accomplish things together. And as we do that, there's others that want to be a part of this organization. And I think that it's going to help us shape economic development in developing countries that want to know what we think and are able to speak with one voice. It's going to give us a common voice when we go to places like Geneva and Brussels, where the global labor movement, as they call them, the global union federations meet, and we'll be able to extend our experience and our opportunity to do that so that we can strengthen those federations.
You can get involved with Workers Uniting online, on the website, on Facebook and on Twitter. Join the fight back with Workers Uniting.